Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast Aqua Talks presented by MANAGE-FISHub. This platform brings you inspiring stories, innovations and impact-driven startups from the aquaculture and fisheries ecosystem. Today we have with us Dr. Naveen Nivas from the Department of Aquaculture KUFOS. He has been extensively working in the field of mud crab farming through the aquaculture innovation production system. We welcome you, sir.
Hi Niveda, thank you for the introduction.
Tell us about your journey through the aquaculture, especially in the mud crab farming, how it started. What inspired you to start this journey?
This journey started right from my UG, Bachelor of Fisheries Science. When I was studying in Chidambaram, Annamalai University, I used to work with a lot of crab farmers, especially during my fourth year, mud crab fattening farm. Because during 2004, tsunami happened. And during that tsunami, lot of coastal livelihood, those tribal people lives has been affected. It's a livelihood empowerment program. Many NGOs has introduced crab fattening as one of the livelihood empowerment program. So I worked with one person, who was a tribal person. So he have no educational value. He picked up that business. They have given training to hundreds of farmers, but there was only one farmer who picked up the business. He literally made 80 lakhs per month turnover with the crab fattening alone. And this happened during my third year. So I was witnessing this alive. So this is my journey where it has begun. Because I used to visit his farm, take data for dissertation stuff like that. And this journey continued. Used to visit the farm often. And after some time, maybe during my first year of masters, I literally went that guy going broke because of the high mortality rates. He had no clue why the crabs are dying. Even the scientific institution don't know why the crabs are dying. Because crab is a very small industry, very niche industry. So it was dying and he couldn't stop that. There was a huge saying, aquaculture might be a gambling. Even though we are trying to make it more scientific and with more precision, still the conventional way of farming has no any scientific guarantee. Exactly same like any other kind of crop production. So it couldn't stop it. It keep on taking loans, these kind of steps and keep on putting the stock. And then I had to do my masters. That is where my professor, Dr. Gopala Krishnan, from CS in Marine Biology, Annamalai University, he reported the mud crab reovirus, which is responsible for that mortality. Then I took the role. My masters I did in KUFOS. So where Dr. Dinesh is my supervisor. So he is my mentor for my PhD also. So he allowed me, okay, you take this project, you just do the survey, how far it has been gone, how far it has been affected. So this is my situation. So I literally visited each and every mud crab fattening farms in India. So during my second years of masters, and that opened my mind. It's a big industry. Because of this survey, I encountered fishermen, and they used to tell us the problems, because they used to catch 100 to 200 kgs of mud crab per day. But now, only one crab if they catch, they are telling it is as a fortune. So this is how I entered. So I entered as an survey basis, as an extensive work. But now I got my hands-on and expertise on the disease management, production system. It's a very long journey, and I have spent my time in Vietnam with a lot of big seafood exporting company. I have been working in Norway with RAS, but the series where that farmer who had taken up the livelihood empowerment program for crab fattening.
Okay, so nowadays the shrimp production farming plays a dominant role in the industry. But you are highlighting about the crab farming. So how it works, how it reshapes the blues economy, like.
If you take shrimp farming, Indian farmers were doing fortune during the time of 1994 to 1995 when they cultured Pinus monodon. And then the sector has become commercialized after the fall of Pinus monodon and the Vanami came in. Of course, I am not against Vanami. I am an absolute fan of how Vanami has become a commercial aquaculture component. How different breeding programs happen, how different genetic development programs happen. It's excellent work. But the thing is, end of the day, we have to care about the farmer welfare. That is a very important term where the aquaculture technician or policymakers are not putting that much priorities into it. So being a exotic species which doesn't belong to India, okay, ecological issue. But at the same time, where is the market? We can't rely only on the export market. That is the thing, because even India was the leading shrimp producer, but the market is only export. Let us take other leading producer, Ecuador, Vietnam. They created the domestic market as a buffering agent, but where do India stays in? And that's why we are promoting mud crab as an indigenous species. You can promote it. as a safe zone. But it is belongs to India. The only problem is the hatchery technology. It's a biggest bottleneck, undebatable. But at the same time, there is a one country which produces mud crab traplet, which has 523 registered mud crab hatcheries. Vietnam has that. All we have to do is we have to do the technology transfer from the Vietnam. Because I have been working personally with the Vietnam hatcheries, and I have been working with Professor Lee. He is my co-supervisor. So I went there, I spent my 3 months in his lab. So we had lot of thoughts about crab hatcheries and these kind of related things. One challenge is the language issue. If you want to work in a crab hatchery in Vietnam, it is really an issue. So I urge government to take up this initiative to support us in this technology transfer to build a sustainable mud crab industry and a species which belongs to India, which belongs to South Pacific. So that is what we are working towards.
Okay, sir. So you have developed several innovation technologies like RAS based crab farmings and specialized feeds. How these technologies can really help the farmers to achieve their survival growth and predictable production? How it happens?
So I would like to say something which might be controversy. So the thing is, whoever doing crab farming in India is not doing in an appropriate way. And whatever I speak, we don't speak nonsense. We speak with the scientific publication published in a most accredited and high impact journal. So we developed a RAS system. RAS, we don't think like it will be a capital intensive, too much investments will be involved. No. We understood the biology of the crab. We understood the crab naturally infected by the virus. And it is a benthic animal that lives inside the mud. How can you culture that animal in the clear water? So that is the basic fundamental flaw. Because that animal, okay, you can put a lot of chemicals, you can put a lot of advanced filtration system, also on UV to bring clear water. But that guy lives in a mud with black soil. How can you expect them to live happy in a clear water? It's like taking a dot from Switzerland or Poland and trying to culture it in Chennai or Pondicherry. So that is the situation. So that fundamental flaw is there. That is why mud crab farming is failing. So we developed habitat enhanced recirculating aquaculture system which mimics the natural environment of the crab. So that is our RA system, which is very cost effective. Even in 30,000 to 50,000 rupees, you can culture 50 kgs of mud crab. And then we are trying to regulate the industry. Mud crab is so far a most unregulated industry. There is no feed, there is no proper products, nobody knows how to culture the system. So crab nutritional requirement is 50% protein and 15% lipid, and minerals is so much required. But we are giving trash fish or any animal ingredient as a feed, which has only 20% protein and very few percentage of lipid. So you are not meeting the nutritional requirement. Then they need high alkalinity and good flush of minerals, because nowadays people are giving only shrimp minerals as a minerals for the crab. But shrimp shell is like a paper, but mud crab shell, 40% of the body weight is made up of shell. So that much minerals we have to make. So we find out the shell composition and we figured out the minerals requirement for the crab, and we finally formulated the minerals. So lightly we are trying to regulate and bring the entire farming into most predictable and scientific way of doing.
Okay, sir. So almost we are into the end of the podcast session. So only one final question I want to ask you. So finally, how do you see mud crab sector evolving in the next 5 to 10 years in the India?
It is quite a visionary. You could see salmon. It is a fish native to Norway. So they branded it as a premium seafood. And their part of economy depends on salmon. Let us take Vietnam. Vietnam Pangaseous is everywhere, in every place. I was in Norway for a few months. I could see Pangaseous from Vietnam, and then I could see salmon from Norway, but I couldn't see single fish from India. Why? Or we don't have any fish. We have plenty number of fishes. Europeans will love it. Any people will love our fishes. But why we are not putting our fish into our plate? So, because we are culturing fish for Americans who wants to eat vanami, not even for the Indians. So what we are trying to do here is to put our seafoods in a global plate. Mud crab can be a potential candidate because our entire coastline is blessed with brackish water and mangroves, and it is a already established expensive market, be it soft shell, be it hard shell. So where I could see some hundreds of hatcheries already developed in India, with the good traplet production, good seed production, and we are coming into play with a good production system, and then feed, minerals, such a much more regulated market, placing mud crab as a representative of Indian premium seafood. Because it is a premium seafood, and if you bring a mud crab to any restaurant or any plate, people will get fascinated. So that is the excitement it will bring. So it's our native species that let us make more systematic and more regulated. So this is our vision for the next 5 years.
Okay, sir. So thank you so much for sharing your insightful knowledge about the mud crab culture. Thank you, sir. Wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Niveda.
So this is our podcast, Aqua Talks, presented by MANAGE-FISHub. We brings you inspiring stories, innovations, and impact-driven startups from the aquaculture and fisheries ecosystem. Until the next episode, this is Niveta CK signing off. Thank you for watching.